Steve, my good man, how the devil are you?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
I'm wonderful, my friend. Oh, very good indeed. We are obviously recording a couple of days late this week, Steve. I've just finished a long hike. Well, I haven't just finished the hike. I finished the hike. Now I'm back in Norfolk again, but not actually with you at this time because I just didn't have time to get to you. So we're on Skype again, but I think from probably next week forward, we'll be back in the same room.
We should be, buddy. Yeah, it was just a bit too much of a rush to get you back, get you recovered, and get you all back down here. So, yeah, one Skype session and we'll be back together.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and I am pleased to report, Steve, most of my blisters are no longer weeping. And cool. I can walk down the stairs again without wincing in pain. So, you know, I'm healing up from the hike.
Progress, mate. Now, if you were one of these riders, you'd be healed up and ready to do another hike by now.
Mate, if I was one of these riders, I'd be going out walking with just my bloody stumps of feet. Like, I'd just carry on, but I'm not as hardcore as these lads. I think we can all accept that.
No, we like cushions and pillows, so, you know, we like a bit of comfort.
Yeah, exactly.
Not to say that these guys don't like cushions and pillows, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, that's it, mate. We're not made of the same kind of stuff as they are, I think it's fair to say.
No, we're just not mental.
That's it. How have you been anyway, Steve, since we last spoke?
I've been good, buddy. Just plugging away at work, just spending time with the family, and just, yeah, that's literally about it. Not done much else. Oh, I did make a wooden truck thing that Enzo got for his birthday.
Oh, okay. What is it, like a balsa wood thing, or?
Yeah. Try to show you over Skype. You can't really see it, but the back comes up. Ooh.
Moving parts as well, Steve. That's not like you're not fucking about with that.
No, mate. We're going big balls here. Yeah, it's like balsa wood, but it was the most annoying thing ever. There's like a million different bits and no instructions, so you literally had to take it all apart and then work it out.
Oh, that's exciting for you.
Yeah, which when you've got like an impatient 4-year-old bouncing on your lap going, Daddy, have you finished yet? And you're trying to work out the most complicated thing in the world.
It's like cold fusion going on here.
Like, I was solving, some sort of physics problem building this thing.
You've learned how to store hydrogen now.
Yes, I mean, look at the front of this damn thing. Every, bonnet bit is individual, and I had to, work out where they went. There's seats in it, and, it's a fucking nightmare. It's one of those sets of instructions where it's just numbers, so you had to find piece 1 that went with piece 2. A fucking nightmare.
Well, you're better than me, mate. I think I would have just given up and had a little bonfire with it, if I'm honest.
I'm going to finish it. I'm that determined bastard. I will finish it. I just had to hide it in the meantime, so we cannot see it.
Yeah, fair enough.
But that's been it. That's my life.
That's just how it's been now. You watched the race on Sunday, otherwise just drilling down and trying to build this wooden truck thing.
Yes, yeah. It will not beat me. I will get the better of it, and I will paint it, and I will probably super glue it together for infamy, so I just never lose it.
And then put it in a glass box, and no one's ever to touch it again.
Yes, on my wall it's been my Rossi signed shirt, my Rossi signed hat, and this fucking thing.
Oh, that's great. Speaking of Rossi, Steve, shall we dive in and start talking about the MotoGP news?
Let's go for it, buddy.
Good stuff. So, I'm Tim, he's Steve, and this is for the love of MotoGP. Now, if you're new to MotoGP, guys, don't forget to check out our Introduction to MotoGP show. It tells you everything you need to know to start enjoying this sport we all love. There's only 4 races left of the year, and the championship, while not sewn up, is looking like it's pretty set. But that doesn't mean you can't have a healthy dose of me and Steve telling you all about what this season will entail. And with that out of the way, let's then, Steve, just dive into the news here. Obviously, we had the race weekends. There was a bit of news flowing in and out, but kind of the main points here we'll run through quickly.
Yep.
I think the biggest bit of news from the weekend, really, Well, no, let's not start at the top here. Let's go with the Petronas SRT rebrand, because we were talking about that in the precursor to in our previous shows and stuff. And we were wondering what this team's going to be called, who they're going to be sponsored by. We now know that from 2022 onwards, the current Petronas SRT Yamaha squad will be known as the RNF MotoGP Racing Team. They've confirmed they'll be on the grid until 2026. But we don't know who their main sponsor is yet, do we?
No, not as far as I'm aware.
Okay, cool, that's fine, because I couldn't find that anywhere. And obviously, as you know, and as you guys listening know, I was kind of away from internet for the last week or so, so I have not been as up on what's been going on in the MotoGP world as I usually am. Do we also know what RNF stands for, Steve?
I have no idea, but your assumption in the show notes, it's going to be that for sure.
I really hope it is, because I've gone for it's Razlan and Friends, because we know...
That's priceless.
I just had no idea. I was like, what could it possibly be? Razlan and Friends is what I came up with. Maybe really needs financial aid. Really needs finance, maybe. That's why they haven't announced a sponsor either. I don't know. There's many things it could be.
I think what they had to do was fill in that little box, and then they realised team name was really short. So they had to abbreviate it, and they were like, RNF, that'll do.
Maybe because they were SRT last time, they just thought it has to be a 3-letter acronym. We have to get 3 letters, go.
It will probably be something insanely long. That no one can pronounce. No one's got any idea how you spell it.
Yeah.
So
RNF,
we've got to help. Yeah, we've got to help the journos out here. RNF, done. Yeah,
that's it. And also we know it's Razlan Razali is going to be the team owner as well as the manager. Looks like Johan Stigefeld isn't going to be involved though.
No, it looks like Stiggy might be on his way. Where to? No idea at this time. But yeah, currently it doesn't look like he's going to be involved.
And that's quite an unusual one because we really did expect him to be involved. I wonder if those rumours of him going to Suzuki are going to be starting to pick up some steam now to be the team principal over there.
I think you could be right. I think there could be some good, strong sort of ground coming behind this now.
Yeah.
We know they haven't replaced Davide Brivio this year. And things aren't looking rosy over there like they were when he was in charge. So someone like Stiggy at the helm would be damn good for them.
Yeah, quite. I guess watch this space on that one.
Basically, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he doesn't find his way across there.
Yeah. I mean, I think they are certainly going to be looking for someone or are looking for someone. And you think he is the kind of guy who has got experience, is very well respected. Yeah. And, if they're not going to be trying to get Livio Supo, which there were a lot of rumours around for a little while, but that doesn't seem to be going anywhere, then I think probably Stiggy is up there with one of the top choices.
I would say so, mate. Yeah, it would be my choice, my bet.
Moving on then from one important person within a team to another here, let's have a quick chat about Michael Laverty here and his upcoming his upcoming Moto3 team.
Yes, yeah, which, like you said in your notes, the BT Sport guys did not stop going on about.
No, it got pretty tedious pretty quickly, and remember, I didn't watch the whole weekend. I watched all the races, I've watched the after the flag stuff, but it got tedious for me just doing that. I can't imagine having watched it for the whole weekend, because it must have been every half an hour.
Yeah, every time they had him on the camera, it was just like, oh my god. Don't get me wrong, when they announced it Friday, great news, loved it. Great to see something like this going on and people keeping teams on the grid.
Yeah.
In a certain sort of sense of the word. But by Sunday, I was like, yep. Yeah.
All right, brilliant. I've heard this now. Let's get something new. But yeah, so essentially Michael Laverty has been involved in a buyout of, again, Johan Stigefeldt's Petronas Moto3 squad, who John McPhee rides for. Michael Laverty's been involved. He's taking over that squad and is planning to use it as sort of like a British talent team, really, to keep British riders on the grid. I sort of get the feeling that this is like a shit John McPhee can't get a ride anywhere, let's buy him a team thing going on here.
It does kind of feel that way.
It really does feel that way to me, and I'm sure if John McPhee is announced like in the next couple of weekends to be riding for that team, I'm going to be determined that the whole point of this team was to make sure he stays on the grid.
I wouldn't be surprised at all, if I'm honest. It's in some ways a big part of me hopes that he's not there, because I'm sure that is going to be a talking point of many people. Like, if he does get a ride there, a lot of people are going to make that assumption that that is what it's for. But on the other hand, it's also really good. You know, we have the British Talent Cup, so they've got the winners of that, should we say, or the winner of the runner-up from 1 or 2 years will, you know, have somewhere to go on the Moto3 grid.
They do already, don't they? They go into the British Talent team in the CV Moto3 Championship.
Yeah, but at least this way, there's almost like a guaranteed straight shot into Moto3 after the CV, whatever way you go into it. So, you know, if you're progressing nicely, it's almost like you don't have to find the team. It's almost going to be there for you.
Yeah, and that's sort of the point, isn't it? We saw it, didn't we? The VR46 squad was obviously only promoting Italian riders. I'm sure there are other teams that are doing the same things. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's Spanish-only teams. So, you know, I'm not that adverse to it. It would be cool. But like you say, I'd actually be quite keen to see John McPhee actually move up and do a proper Moto2 season rather than be on this in Moto3 for another year with a different team.
Yeah, I'm of the same opinion. I think it would be good for him to step up now. Although he's never set the world really on fire in Moto3, he's been there a while. And it just kind of feels like time to step up.
Yeah, that's exactly the case. Otherwise, I think he risks just being one of those journeymen that's never going to go anywhere, and it'll just be... And I'm quite pro people staying as just, if they want to be a Moto3 rider for their entire career, fucking go for it. I'm quite on board with that idea. I like the idea of going back a few eras where we're going to have like a 4-time Moto3 champion, and to progress up to Moto2, you've got to beat like this guy. And I think that's really cool. But John McPhee has said over and over again he doesn't want to be that guy. He wants to, plus he's not won a championship, but he wants to go on to riding in Moto2, and it just feels like if someone really wants to and they can't get there, I don't know, it feels a bit depressing. Like, it's so kind of like just give the guy a shot, and if he fucks it up, send him over to like World Supersport or something. Yeah,
exactly. Have a shot. No, right, off you go.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. More news with the other the other classes here is there's changes to the MotoE weekend. And actually, Steve, this has bothered me. I can't find this weekend's MotoE races. I know there was 2. I know they were intense. And I know that there was some exciting stuff happening. But I can't find them on catch-up anywhere.
No, I've looked as well. I missed it because obviously we were at this wedding. And it's always on like BT Sport Extra, which isn't on the telly, so you can't record it. You have to like stream it. But yeah, I can't find it on catch up anywhere either, which I'm really gutted about because I've heard so much about it and it sounds awesome.
Yeah.
But for some reason I just can't find it. I'm gutted, and everyone said how good it is, so it makes me more determined to find it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I, as I was saying to you earlier, I ended up actually watching Moto America races from the weekend while I was trying to find MotoE races.
Yeah, it's infuriating. I wish the whole thing was shown through like whatever provider is in your country. I really do. Like, I wish it was shown on BT Sport for us.
And that's the thing, isn't it? Because, like you say, it is shown on BT Sport Extra, but it doesn't appear to be on catch-up for some reason. And sometimes they put it on YouTube. I don't know whether they put it on YouTube like 2 weeks after the event or something. Like Formula E used to do this, where you had to wait weeks.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just bloody annoying, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
I wish it was all just shown under the same banner.
Yeah, exactly. One day, Steve, we'll get a Video Pass account and we'll just we can watch everything on there that way.
Yeah, I mean, there's loads of highlights. It's just...
Just the full race. Can't find that anywhere.
Yeah, it's a shame I've just found it.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, it's in Italian.
Oh, well, that's not really much use to me.
No, but I have just found it.
Okay, brilliant. Well, maybe, Steve, you could watch that, record your commentary over the top, and then I'll watch it with your commentary.
That sounds like It's not, it's in English.
Oh, okay, brilliant. All right, there we go. Okay, don't play that. You'll get us in trouble with copyright laws.
Wasn't long enough.
And that's such a bullshit thing. That it's not long enough is such a lie. Like, there's literally nowhere in copyright law that says you can use less than 7 seconds. It's this weird thing that people seem to believe for some reason. And Dorna are already on our case, mate. So that's exactly it.
Dorna hate. It's not on your case. Dorna just hate me.
Unfortunately, Steve, we're under the same umbrella for this.
Sorry, bud. I just dragged you down with me.
That's fine, mate. I've got your back. We'll go down together here. But anyway, MotoE, the whole weekend is changing as of 2022. MotoE, the weekend will now look like this, Steve. Fridays on MotoE races, so it's not going to be every week or every race week, but when MotoE is there, Fridays will feature 2 free practice sessions followed by the qualifying sessions. And this is now they're scrapping the Super Pole format, and MotoE will be on the now familiar Q1, Q2 format, with the fastest or the slowest 10 competitors going through Q1, and the top 2 of those will progress to Q2. There will be the 8 fastest automatically through to Q2, and then they'll be met by the 2 fastest from Q1. Each session is going to be about 10 minutes with unlimited laps. So, you're going to be looking at, I suppose, 3 or 4 laps, really, unless you're changing for tyres. Then there will be a race on the Saturday and another race on the Sunday. So every weekend is going to feature 2 MotoE races. And the races will likely be the last on-track action of each day. So it looks like, after qualifying for Moto3, Moto2, MotoGP, then we'll get a Saturday race for MotoE. Yep. And likewise, after the Moto3, Moto2, MotoGP races, we'll get the Sunday race for MotoE. And I'm sure that will change because, there'll be places like Mugello with the track invasions and stuff. So obviously, it's not going to be every week that they'll be running MotoE last. They'll mix it around depending on where they are, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they will. You can't always go last. That just wouldn't be fair.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, it's fine, isn't it? It's just, it depends on where you are. And I mean, part of it, I'm sure, is that Dorna's plan to try and stop everyone pouring out of the gates at the last minute, to try and at least, if they can stem some of the flow, keep some people back, to keep the routes out a bit clearer.
I know firsthand they do that quite a bit.
Yes, quite. We do know they do it at many events. And sometimes they just chat bullshit to try and make people stay behind and wait.
They do. I have experience of this. Land buggers.
Yeah, quite. But I guess at the end of the day, a lot of the time, if they cause too much travel disruption on the way out, the events won't be able to take place. So they've got to try and chat some shit to slow everyone down a little. So then, Steve, next bit of news we have here, Johan Zarco heading off, or has now headed off for arm pump surgery. He did 1 day of the test, which was obviously the post-race test at Misano, and then flew back to France to have, and I assume it wasn't the big, really invasive surgery we know like Cal Crutchlow's had recently, or last year, or whenever it was. I think this was the more simple surgery.
I think so. Looking at the bandage on his arm, it doesn't look like the full bore. I think he's just had that kind of smaller surgery.
That's it, just putting the slit there in that sac rather than removing the entire muscle lining.
Yeah.
You look a bit grossed out by the whole idea of it, Steve.
I don't like it. I'm one of these wusses. I'm all right with blood, don't get me wrong. Like injuries at work, I love it. I'm the first one. Oh, what you done? But when it's full bore, I like Cal Crutchlow bloody videoed his arm. Oh.
Yeah, it was pretty good, man, when you see the muscle all moving in there. I find it quite intriguing. It turns my stomach a bit, but I find it quite intriguing.
I like it. It's just when I look at it, I'm just a bit like...
I'm a bit weird with it, man. I find when I see things like that of surgery clips, and I especially thought this when I've been around like weird medical museums in the past, and I see things and I'm just like, we are really just meat, aren't we? We're all just meat. Because that's what I think of when I see like Crutchlow's arm. I'm like, that just looks like you could just cut it up, fry it up, job done, tasty Crutchlow for dinner.
Okay, Hannibal.
Yeah, I'm making a confession here that I just really want to eat Cal Crutchlow. That's all it is.
Ugh, hello, Clarice.
Okay, so Zarco, let's move away from my fantasies about eating Crutchlow. Zarco is expected to be fit and ready for the next race in Texas, which will be next weekend. So pretty fast turnaround. I'm sure 2 weeks isn't really fast, long enough for him to be fully race fit. I'm sure he'll still be a bit tender, especially at Texas, which is going to be a very physical track. So we'll see what happens.
See. He's confident, we're confident, but crack on, sunshine. Prove us wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And the final piece of news then, Steve, is Papa Rins. You told me this just before we started recording, but Alex Rins has announced he's a father. A baby boy arrived today.
Yes, yeah, I will just double check the name. I'm sure it's Lucas, but I always don't check social media just before we go on to record, just in case there's anything happen. Yeah, and there's pictures of Rins with a little baby. He did post one picture saying that he was on his way or something. Yeah, and then another little Rins in the world. Yeah, Lucas.
There we go. So, Rins, is he going to do that Carl Crutchlow thing and just go and win the next race? Oh my God, it's Texas. He won last time at Texas. Steve, it could all be coming together finally for Alex Rins. He might be able to stay on the bike and win a race. This
might just be what he needed. Just a little babby to bring it all in. There he is. There you go.
Oh, you're showing me on the screen. Steve, it just looks like a baby to me, man.
Well, it's a baby, mate. It's going to be pretty boring for a while, you know.
Yeah, they're all the same for the first at least the first 2 years of life.
Yeah, once they start walking, that's when the shit really hits the fan.
Well, that's when they get fun, Steve. I've said this to you before. I've probably said it on the show before. They're fun while they can walk and before they can talk. That's the prime age for a child, because that is when they're at their funniest.
That is like Brody at the minute. He is just hilarious.
Yeah.
Nightmare. Don't get me wrong. Absolute fucking nightmare. If it's there to be climbed on, he's up it.
And that's what you want, mate. Keep you on your toes.
Yeah, little bastard. We got some boxes under the window, but the toy's in. And he can get on them. No, I didn't realise he could get on them. I've got a picture of me and my mate Neil, who passed away on the windowsill. And I found that picture in the washing machine.
Whoa. Well, I mean, I like that. Is it always the washing machine, though? Is it consistently do things go in the washing machine?
Fairly consistently, but Neil's been taken on a fair tour of our house just recently. Because he's discovered he can reach him, and it's something new. When I say reach him, I don't mean I've got his ashes on the windowsill, just this picture. It'd
probably be a little more alarming if that was the case. You'd probably move them rather than keep putting them back into the same spot.
Yeah, well, I'm a bit sadistic, so it's like, here goes on. Yeah, I constantly get messages at work from Sarah, I've moved Neil. I thought he's back. Always. Bugger, yeah. But they're interested. Yeah, you're right. As soon as they can walk, can't talk, cracking. Once they can talk, fuck me.
Yeah, quite. That's when I'm like, nah, you can go back to your parents now. Goodbye.
Yeah. Lucky bastard.
Right then, Steve, that kind of covers the main kind of talking points of the news, but we also had the Misano test this week.
We did, yes. Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about this.
Yeah, so following the weekend of racing, the riders and teams all stayed on at Misano for the 2-day test, which I think was the Tuesday and the Wednesday, right? Or was it the Monday and Tuesday?
Tuesday, Wednesday, I believe.
Tuesday, Wednesday. See, I knew there was a reason we were recording late, Steve, because if we'd have recorded on time, we wouldn't know any of this shit yet. So it's not due to me being a bit of a stop out and not meeting our normal recording dates. It was deliberate so we could talk about the test.
Was it Monday, Tuesday? I don't know. It happened early this week.
Yeah, either way, we were saying it was all deliberate.
Yes, we foresaw this like we normally do, and we shifted the stars around, and it was all good.
Yeah, quite, my friend, quite. So we saw all 6 manufacturers out. We were testing new parts, mainly actually testing their 2020 machines, 2022 machines. I'm finding it very hard to remember that next year is 2022.
I find it really hard to remember anything at the minute.
That's your age, though, Steve. That's just coming to catch you again.
Yeah, that is a little bit my age. Yeah, I do agree. I've found myself aching a bit more since I've turned 40.
Making more noises as you just stand up and sit down.
I make my knees in the morning. I get out of bed and like, oh, Jesus. Honestly, it's not until I get moving at work till I start to loosen up and get a bit nimble and a bit sprightly.
That's it, mate. That's why you need to be taking that bike to work each day. That'll warm you up, get you ready for the tough day ahead. And then you'll have to cycle home at the end of the day, and that'll be fucking awful.
That would be awful. It's still sat behind me. I haven't had time to get out on it yet. I will. It's still sat there. We'll get out on it. But yes, 2-day testing at Misano, and
Yes.
we saw, like you say, a lot of manufacturers testing their 2022 machines, and all looking, well, not all of them, some looking very, very unusual.
Yeah, some radically different machines from people, wasn't there? Let's start with Ducati and we'll work our way down. We saw Ducati testing, once again, new Aero Packages.
They love a good bit of aero.
That's my favourite thing. I love it. There's going to be, when the test is coming, there's going to be some great pictures of a Ducati. That's what I really like, because they're always just so radical. There's just more wings and more bits sticking out of them everywhere, and I'm just such a fan of it. But we saw 2 distinct Aero Packages being tested, and it's reported Zarco actually also tested a new chassis on the first day. The Aero Packages, one looked very, very similar to this year's, and the other one kind of had the central aero scoops, I suppose you would call them, rather than just being one big piece, is now 2 individual units. So when you're looking at the Ducati, there's now 4 individual aero bits down each side. And like we say, it's getting more like the old winglets, where it's winglet upon winglet upon winglet, and it's all starting to look a bit like a stealth bomber.
Yeah, they're moulding this back into like the old winglet somehow. Every time you roll one out, you can see that someone's gone, well, that worked. How can we make this on here? And, the boffins have got the LSD and the crayons out and just gone, right, we can do this.
Yeah, that's exactly the case, I think, mate. And it's great. I love it. I love seeing all of the Ducati Aero every time. Like, from when it started, from like, you go back to like 2015 and it's just the most complex bullshit going on there. Like, wow. I love it. And it's never stopped. I love that the genie's out of the bottle with Aero, and I really, really do enjoy it.
I can remember us talking about that 2015 Hammerhead Aero when it rolled out. It was just like, oh my God.
Was that the 2015 one, the Hammerhead one? I can't remember when that was, but that was mental. I loved it.
Yeah, I absolutely loved that. It might have even been the 2016 one, because we were talking about new Aero. But yeah, I remember like thousands of text messages being swapped. Have you seen this? Look at this. Pictures going backwards and forwards. I think we were recording at the time.
Yeah.
And I can remember us talking about it. Yeah, there's hundreds and hundreds of text messages going backwards.
So that if we were recording that, it must have been like 2017, maybe.
Could have been. I can't remember off the top of my head.
No, I can't remember now anyway. But yeah, that was so many fun. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So speaking of different aero, Steve, we also saw Honda rolling out a very, very different looking machine with the very different aero, very different front air intake, looks much more like that of the Yamahas, and a very different tail box and exhaust pipe. The exhaust is still coming out under the tail, as we've come to expect from the Honda, but the tail is much shorter. The exhaust pipe is protruding a long way now. It looks very different.
So it's obvious that they've gone back to the drawing board. It almost feels like the Ducati switch, where there's sudden bike change. They've rolled out something big. They've either sat down and listened to the riders and thought, right, we've got to do something now. And this is what they've come up with. And it really does look like they've taken the best bits from so many different other manufacturers and just kind of mushed them into this thing, and they're now trying to make it work. And it just looks really, really nice. Like you said, the tail unit is very, almost like Aprilia-esque. The front's sort of a bit Yamaha, and it's just all over the place.
I don't think the tail unit's very Aprilia, because the Aprilia's got almost the salad box, hasn't it? Like the Ducati. That seems to be a very Italian way of doing things. It's just a very strange tail. I just don't... I've not seen one like it on a MotoGP bike with the exhaust sticking so far out. It looked very strange to me.
It might just be that they didn't change the exhaust system. Maybe they're going to have to make one to suit that aero.
That's a good shout.
So it could just be things in the pipeline to test. So that might be something they've got on hand for the New Year's tests. But
yes, that's fair.
At this point in time, there was a lot of photos taken of that bike.
There was a ton. You can find them all over the MotoGP website. They're all over the internet. They're easy to find. We also know they were testing another new carbon bonded chassis. This, I think, was given to the LCR boys to run about in.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think Alex Marquez reported that he was enjoying that quite a lot.
Yeah. I think there's stuff come through from there, like news, press releases that he was making inroads, and very impressed by the stuff that he tested. So, hopefully it'll make some difference if they use it next year.
Yes, exactly. Suzuki then, Steve. Suzuki were back once again testing the 2022 engine. They seem to have been doing that all year so far. But they were also testing setups and electronics and how they're going to work with the new engine. They did a bit of prep work for the next race at Misano, which we know is in about a month's time.
Yep.
And then on the second day, they were testing a 2022 chassis as well as the engine. But both riders seem to really, really like this new chassis. So it seems to be reported that they may well be running that next year. Oh no, this year. They might be bringing it this year.
Yeah, it said straight away, like every press release was like they're hoping to run what they've tested or part of what they've tested for the next 4 rounds. So whatever it is, to give them that level of confidence and want to use it straight away, it obviously worked.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Alex Rins spent a lot of time running with the rear ride height device as well, just trying to get that nailed and dialed in.
Yeah, that's something that's like new for them this year, so they've got to get that pinned and up to scratch, because otherwise you're never going to get the thing under control.
Yeah, quite. Aprilia testing a new smaller Aero package, which is designed to make cornering more effective. And it looked dramatically smaller. We saw Lorenzo Savadori running around with this. And it certainly looks, it's the same premise, isn't it? It looks the same. They've just shrunk it down slightly. And that, like we say, is to make it a bit easier in the corners. So they've got to fight the Aero a bit less. Maverick Vinales reportedly tested very little and is just continuing to get used to riding the Aprilia.
Yeah, there wasn't much talk of him actually testing parts, like you say, just continuing his sort of steps forward to get used to the bike. So it makes sense, really does make sense.
Yamaha then, we saw Yamaha testing a new tail unit for Fabio Quartararo. Divitio is just putting miles in, trying to get used to the Yamaha now after not being on one for 7 years or whatever it is since he last swung his leg over a Yamaha.
About 7 or 8 years, Wow.
2014?
No,
2013. Might even have been 2012, actually.
I don't know, it's a while ago, let's put it that way. I can't remember off the top of my head when he left, but it's a fair while.
I think he joined Ducati in 2013, so 2012 would have been his last time on the Yamaha.
Gosh, was that long ago? Oof.
Yeah. And Frankie Morbidelli was just getting back up to speed, so he wasn't really testing a huge amount either. Rossi went quicker, one of the very few riders actually to go quicker during the test than during qualifying for the race, and he was pretty much just testing electronic setups and trying to solve the rear grip issues that he's been having.
Yeah.
KTM have been a bit shady about what they've been testing. I know Danny Pedrosa was out testing, quote, new ideas for the future.
Yes.
And the other riders were out just trying to solve issues with the current machine, from what I can tell. We also saw Remy Gardner and Raul Fernandez in the second day have their first taste of MotoGP machinery. Both were performing respectable times, improving as the day went on. But Gardner did suffer a crash, Steve, and this... Thankfully, he came away uninjured, but this is exactly what you and I were discussing last week.
Yep. Do you risk it?
Quite. Because imagine if that's a broken arm. That's his title done. Exactly.
This is the big risk. And luckily, like you say, it was just a crash he walked away from, but it's always that risk. But if the teams are willing to risk it, then, and so the riders, well, it's on their heads when it all goes wrong.
Yeah, quite. So that then, Steve, that pretty much brings us to the end of the test there. That's the basic news covered. That's the test, what we saw kind of covered very quickly. So let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll dive into Moto3, Moto2, and then we'll dive into our full MotoGP race review.
Let's do it, buddy.
Okay, guys, bear with us just one moment, and we will be right back with you. Thank you for bearing with us there, guys. We are back in the room here. I have a new phone charger because I'm running off my hotspot tonight because the internet has been a little dodgy. So I can only apologise if I dropped in and out a little bit. I think we fixed the problem. My phone is on charge. I'm hotspotting. We should be okay. We're relying on the 4G gods to be with us tonight, Steve.
Hopefully. You're in a city. The 4G gods should be on your side.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think the internet gods would be on my side too. I'm in a city, but there we go.
I'm in a small town and my internet's seems like it's better than yours. So.
Oh, every time, mate, 100%. Right then, let's just cover the top 5 finishers in Moto2 and Moto3. I haven't gone through and added the MotoE ones in yet, Steve, because obviously I haven't watched the race and I didn't really want to spoil myself too much, so it's an entirely selfish act.
So I thought exactly the same. I got the notes, I was like, please don't put that in. I was like, yes.
Yeah, see, the selfish act has benefited us both, and we will probably talk about that in the next show once we've both had a time to watch it.
Yes.
So Moto3 finished like this then, Steve. Jaime Masia was in 5th, from Sergio Garcia in 4th. Andrea Migno was in 3rd. Nicolo Antonelli in 2nd. And Dennis Foggia won the race. Dennis Foggia's been on a bit of a tear at the moment.
He's on a bit of a shout at the minute, isn't he? Also, you know, it'll probably end. Next week he'll just be nowhere. But, you know, at the minute he's just on one. It's like, go on, lad, have it.
Yeah, exactly. Leading the trio of Italian riders to the podium at their home race in Italy, really. So, you know, very fitting.
Yes. Yeah, very, very Italian.
Yeah, quite. And then Moto2 looked like this then, Steve. Marco Bezzecchi finished 5th. Sam Lowes was 4th. Aaron Canet in 3rd. Remy Gardner 2nd. And Raul Fernandez finished 1st to take his 6th win of his rookie season in Moto2, man. 4 races to go. Is he going to beat Marc Marquez's 7?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm thinking that. And I'm thinking that unless Remy Gardner can beat him at least once more here over the next couple of races, Raul Fernandez is looking like he could take this championship.
Absolutely, mate. He's looking unstoppable at the minute. Every time he gets on that bike, he just looks a different class. You know, so I'm pretty sure he's going to beat Marquez's record.
Yeah, it's really looking quite likely, isn't it? Which then makes him a very, very exciting prospect as he comes into MotoGP next year. It's sort of a shame he's coming in onto a KTM, which we know can win races, but we also know it's quite an inconsistent machine. Yeah,
that is a little bit. If they were on par with the consistency of Moto2, I'd be really thrilled. But
yeah, certainly.
At the minute, it's a little bit disappointing. But also, if he's this good, hopefully, if they can iron out some of the problems next year, it'll be better. You know, hopeful. I'm hopeful. Yeah,
and I mean KTM, to be fair, across their 4 bikes in MotoGP next year have got, oh my god, that fucking lineup, man. The lineup of Binder, Oliveira, Raul Fernandez, and Remy Gardner just looks like they're giant killers. They look incredible.
Yeah, it's that team that, like, if you're playing football, you get that promoted team who come up and you're just like, oh, for fuck's sake. You know, just the ones you don't want to play, like, don't get you in the cup draw. Don't get you in the cup draw. Fuck it.
And that's actually why everyone in Moto2 is excited that both Remy Gardner and Raul Fernandez are leaving next year, because it opens it up to everyone else again.
Exactly. Sam Lowes is like, yay!
Yeah, exactly. The Lowes, the Canets, they are looking forward to next year, I imagine.
Oh, I'm sure Canet will get a tattoo to celebrate.
He can't have any skin left, mate. It'll have to be his eyeballs.
Toes, bottom of his toes, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah. Oh, bottom of your feet. That'll do the job.
That'll make you wince.
Yeah, quite. Right then, Steve. Let's go right into our full MotoGP race review, shall we?
Let's go for it, buddy.
Good stuff. So, Steve, this wasn't the most thrilling race. There was no real epic battle for the lead, but as you said via text to me, watching Enea Bastianini and Fabio Quartararo closing in on Bagnaia was enough to keep us kind of glued to the screen and enough to keep the anticipation building. Yeah,
it was gripping, wasn't it? It wasn't like an intense edge of your seat race. It was just something to keep you gripped, lock your focus on the telly, because it was just so much. There was more carrots dangled in this race than I can remember ever before. You know, it had so much potential. If it had been 5 more laps, it would have been insane.
Oh, if it had been 5 more laps, mate, they'd have all crashed. Their tyres wouldn't have made it.
No, they wouldn't. But what I'm thinking is the battle we would have got would have just been nuts.
Yeah, I think it would have been very reminiscent of the week before, where we saw Bagnaia and Marquez battling away.
Pretty much. It would have almost been a carbon copy of that, just with Bastianini in the mix.
Yes, quite, yeah. So actually, you're right. It could have become a nice 3-way duel. And actually, you're right. You are right. 5 more laps and Bastianini would have taken that win.
Yeah, absolutely. It ended before it should have started.
Yeah, that's
in my eyes. You know, but still, it's MotoGP. It was a great race, whatever.
Yes.
But it lacked that little bit of pizzazz, that little bit of flair.
Yeah, and it almost had it, to be fair, when Quartararo was right on the back wheel of Bagnaia towards the very end, but he ran wide, made the one mistake. I think he nearly washed the front, didn't he? And then that was pretty much it. And then the gap stretched out to half a second. You're like, oh, fuck, that's it now. It's done.
That's it, yeah. Man, I've just got the worst case of cramp ever.
Oh, that's not good, mate. I don't want to make another joke about your age, but...
Damn it, stand up.
Standing up, doing it properly here.
We are doing it. Ow. Jesus Christ. Damn it. I apologise here, listeners. Age has just caught up with me and kicked me in the back of the leg. Shizzle. There we go. I'm back in the game. Carry on. Edit that bit out, Tim.
Not going to happen, is it? But there was a point during this race, Steve, that really caught my eye. And it was when I looked down at the timing tower and realised that the group of guys battling at the back of this field were pretty much all MotoGP race winners. I was looking and seeing Dovi, Rossi, Oliveira, Petrucci, Morbidelli, Vinales, Binder, all battling at the back of the group, and like, fuck, these guys, this is such a competitive field now that like these guys who are all legitimate race winners and the fastest on their day are just fighting there at the back, like just floundering.
No, it's nuts. Well, I was trying to look up some stats earlier in the week, and just the sheer talent we've got on there at the minute. The times are closer than they've ever been before. Yes, they're lapping sometimes like nearly a second faster at the front than the guys at the back. But when you average it out over a race, it's so much closer than what we've ever had before.
Yes, certainly.
And like you say, you've got to be so fast, got to be so consistently fast now to cut it, that even when you're running 22nd, 23rd, you're still quicker than some of the guys from 5 years ago.
Yes, yeah, certainly. And then that's true across the board, really.
Absolutely nuts. Yeah, through every class it's the same. And the level of talent out in the world at the minute for motorcycle racing is nuts.
Yeah. Across
all fields. We are being spoiled. We talk about like how we're living through like the pinnacle of motorcycle racing and MotoGP all the time, but when you look at things like this, and you're right, when you look at the talent at the back of the field and the talent at the front, you have got to be on point. You cannot drop a half a percentage or you'll be at the back.
Yeah, quite.
It is nuts at the minute. We are being spoiled, really spoiled at the minute.
So I'm just going through and just seeing how many of the current grid have won a race, or how many of the guys on this grid have won at least one MotoGP race, and I think it's 13 or 14 of them. So 13 or 14 of the 24 guys that lined up at the start of this race have all won at least one race in MotoGP, which is madness, mate. It's mad. Can you remember the year of the aliens, where every race for 2 or 3 years, or 4 years, I think, was won by one of 4 guys?
Yeah, you had just 4 guys circulating at the front, then you had maybe a 5-second gap, and you knew what was going to happen. It was going to be those 4 disappearing off into the distance, and no one else would get a look at.
Yeah,
because they wouldn't just disappear; they would stay together. Maybe they dropped the 4th place guy towards the end of the race, but the rest of the time, the podium were on each other. And it was a given every week it was going to be between one of these 4 guys.
Yeah.
And it does get boring. Now, we're having so much trouble, like we say every week, which team's going to be the one we speak about first.
Exactly.
They're so spread out. We've never had this before. Whereas you could say in the past, 22nd, 21st, Aprilia.
Yes.
The next 4 places, KTM. It was almost a given. Now you couldn't go into a bookies and put a bet on because no one would give you the odds.
And it's just hard, isn't it? It's just so hard. It's like you say, week in, week out, it's different guys up the front, it's a different manufacturer winning the race. It's just it's all over the place, but it's fucking great, mate. It's what's making it great. And Dorna, take my hat off to them, have just done a cracking job of building a really competitive championship, and kind of saving a championship from, I mean, it was looking pretty dire at the start of when I first started watching MotoGP. There were like 14 bikes on the grid. Everyone was scoring points.
Yeah, you could enter a race and be guaranteed points. Yeah. There was a time when this, we looked at this series folding, and everyone was turning to the likes of like Rossi, everyone else on the grid to save it. And it was only the introduction of the CRT bikes, that really brought it back, and like the influence of Rossi, just keeping the fans interested. And then luckily for Dorna, over the next few years, the talent that came through was equally enthralling, and the racing got better, that it's progressed to what it is today.
Yeah.
There are times in the past where I was worried I wouldn't have this series anymore.
Yeah, I think Dorna have done an amazing job in the last decade to go from what they had to what they've got now.
Yeah, as much as they don't like me, I have to take their hands off to what they've done. We sing all their praise, but they still report me on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. They still get you banned for a week at a time.
Yeah, just because I'm trying to promote them. Come on, sort it
out. Anyway, Steve, before we piss them off more, let's dive in. KTM is the first factory to talk about this week, Steve.
Yes, mate. Someone's got to be first.
Yeah, but it's just KTM, man. Something weird's happened with KTM, really. I feel like this weekend especially, just going around in circles, nothing. There's nothing to write home about. Dino Petrucci qualified 22nd, Iker Lecuona qualified 20th, Miguel Oliveira qualified 21st. Their top qualifier was Brad Binder in 17th.
I know. Something's not quite right. Something is big time amiss here. And you look at their race finishes, you got Iker, didn't finish the race. Petrucci finished 16th with Oliveira in 20th, but then you've got a big jump up to Binder, who's in 9th.
Yeah.
It's just all over the place.
At least they scored a few points thanks to Binder.
Yeah, but there's no consistency in it. Next week, they'll probably all be mid-pack.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't govern these guys at the minute. Like your description of Oliveira, what the fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck? This is Miguel Oliveira. This is the guy that we know could be a championship threat, a guy that's won multiple races now, a guy that's been multiple podium sitter, and yet the last few rounds he's been nowhere. And I mean, you only got to look at the qualifying pace of the rest of the KTMs to realise that it's not just him.
No. If it was just him languishing at the back, you'd think, right, he's got a problem.
Yeah.
But obviously, these guys all pretty much lined up and occupied the back of the grid. It's not just him. There is obviously a problem at KTM somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's just, we always talk about that one person who rescues a team, and that's just Binder at the minute, who's just got the potential to make it work in the race.
Yeah, I mean, he just does it on a Sunday, doesn't he? I think he just overcomes whatever problems there are. It rolls around to Sunday, and he just gets into that racer mentality, and he can just go.
Yeah, like you say in the notes, just needs to sort his qualifying out. If he can do that...
And that's the thing, because you imagine if he'd qualified in 9th as opposed to, in 17th, he'd probably been in the top 5 by the end of the race.
Easy. If not, if he could have stuck with him, if he could have caught the front guys, he could have been 4th, just pushing on a bit.
Yeah.
Who knows? Like you say, needs to sort qualifying, and he will be fine.
Yeah, exactly. And as far as the Tech 3 boys go here, Dino Petrucci, I imagine he's just looking forward to getting off the MotoGP grid next year, going and doing something new, having some fun with the Dakar Rally, and just...
Oh, hell yeah.
Just maybe chilling a bit before he goes on to do that. And Iker Lecuona, at this point, this was a bad weekend for Iker. He's had a pretty good run up until this point, but this wasn't great. Crashed out on lap 15, and we didn't really see anything of him before that anyway. So then, Steve, Yamaha are up next here. Yamaha had... And I mean, it's a tough one, actually, in general, to talk about Yamaha here, because we've got to talk about Valentino Rossi, who, let's be fair, has not been on form all season. We talk about Fabio Quartararo, who has been on form all season. But then they've got Frankie Morbidelli, who's been off the bike for half the season, and Andrea Dovizioso that's been off for more than half a season. So it's a hard comparison to draw for any of them, but when you look at the raw numbers here, apart from Quartararo, Yamaha had a fucking shit weekend.
They did have an awful weekend. I was sort of looking at them, trying to write some notes, and I was like, I have no idea where to start with this, because like you say, you've got one guy who's retiring and just, is looking to the future. One guy making his return from a year off, who's getting to know the bike, and one guy who's just bounced back from injury big time.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we've got somebody else who's on an absolute blinder, and it's just the rescue man. He is the Binder.
Well, the Marc Marquez of Honda in previous years.
Yeah, it's very similar across the board at the minute. All these teams or factory satellite teams all got one person who's just saving it. At the minute, it's a very odd situation, but these guys are hard to talk about and really hard to know where to put, because like you say, they're just all different.
Yeah, exactly. So let's cover the two SRT boys first here. Valentino Rossi qualified 23rd. That was the penultimate position there. Andrea Divitio qualified stone last in 24th. When it comes to the race, to be honest, the results aren't much better, really. Rossi finished in 17th. Dovi finished in 21st.
Yes.
This isn't the home race Rossi wanted it to be. He's got one more shot at this track in about a month's time, but I'm sure it's not going to be any different.
No, not at all.
It's that, isn't it? Rossi this year is just that. You've summed it up perfectly with that one noise.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of it. I had high hopes. I think I've always got that sort of sugar-coated hopes for Rossi, that he's just going to do something. The only real nice thing I could take about this weekend was his helmet design.
Oh, mate, his helmet design was on point. I really, really liked it.
Yeah, just a simple little pink bow, just a little nod towards his baby girl in the future.
Yeah.
And I secretly wanted to hope for something in the race, but at the same time, realistically, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And I just want to see the guy in, Bermuda shorts, a stupid shirt, drinking a cocktail, floating around in the pool on his lilo, just chilling.
Yeah, and that's kind of all you can wish for Rossi right now, isn't it?
Yeah, just all I wish for at the minute is don't hurt yourself in the next 4 rounds. So, don't do something stupid. Just go out gracefully.
Yeah, that's exactly it. But then the other experienced Italian across the other side of the box there, Andrea Divitio, like we say, finished the race in 21st. Not the best start to his return to Yamaha, but to be honest, this is sort of what we were expecting, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. We know, he hasn't ridden a Yamaha for how long. It is a completely different entity to what he sat on before. He's had, a year off?
Close to it, yeah.
Yeah, close to a year off full-time racing. I think anyone who expected him to come in and set the world on fire was probably looking at this through frosted, sugar-coated glasses.
Yeah.
This is pretty much what I expected.
Yeah. I mean, the bike has sucked all year. Like, let's not make any... Like, Morbidelli couldn't really do anything on it in the start of the year. It sort of makes Jake Dixon's performances over the last few races not look as bad as we thought they were.
No. If I was Jake, I'd be sitting in that Moto2 box grinning like a Cheshire cat.
Yeah, quite. And I'd be there knocking on Razlan's door being like, you sure you don't want to sign me for next year? Yeah.
It's done him the power of good, and it shows just what having time off these bikes can do.
Yes, certainly. Dovi did say that he found the Yamaha very strange to ride. It's a very different shape, a very different riding position to the Ducati. He did say it feels like a much longer bike than the Ducati, which surprised me. I always expect the Ducati to be quite a low, long-slung bike. But
drag style.
Yeah, according to Dovi, he's saying no, he's saying the Yamaha's longer, and he's just trying to find a riding position in it that works for him.
Yeah, it's a bit strange. Yamaha's synonymous with turning, which normally says shorter wheelbase. So
yeah,
maybe that's where they're going wrong. They've made this thing too long and now it won't turn.
Potentially.
Who knows? That could be the insight that everyone's just overlooked. Hang on, the thing is longer. Is it?
Yeah, shit, how did this happen?
Yeah, who the fuck? Oh, solved.
Growing a few millimetres every year.
Yeah, it would be funny if it was the thing and someone's just gone, oh yeah. All right. Job done.
That swing arm's actually 8 centimetres longer than the 2013 one. Shit, maybe we should just make the swing arm shorter.
Yeah, simples.
And then the factory boys then, Steve. Franco Morbidelli qualified 16th, finished the race in 18th. We knew he wasn't going to be back up to speed after the ACL surgery. He said himself he's nowhere near fully race fit. But part of me still a little disappointed with this. He looked cool in full factory leathers. I was stoked to see it. But this result, I don't know. I sort of really hoped he'd just come back and just smash it into the top 8, and then we'd be like, yes, Frankie's back. This is going to be good.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was hoping for. He was just going to come out and blitz it. But realistically, major surgery, different bike, different team. It's a lot to take in. So I think overall, the second fastest Yamaha.
Yeah, it's not really saying much, is it?
No, that's about the plus that I can find. But he kept it rubber side down, brought it home, and he's got 4 rounds left of this season to get used to the new team, new bike. and just build on it get yourself race fit for next year.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what it is now, isn't it? The next 4 rounds and then the testing is just all about getting ready for next year.
Yeah, basically. Just get yourself up to speed and we'll evaluate next year when it gets here.
That's it. Plus, Steve, he has got another home race in about a month's time back at Misano, like we keep saying. So, maybe, another round before then, some extra time, some training. I think we'll see an improvement from this qualifying 16th, finishing 18th, but I'm not convinced he's going to be popping it on the podium or anything.
No. Just an improvement. It's nice to see a steady improvement over the next 4 rounds.
Yeah, exactly. And then Fabio Quartararo, Steve. Fabio Quartararo qualified 3rd, finished the race in 2nd. Once again showing why he's on the factory bike and proving again that he's the only Yamaha capable of doing anything in the race.
Yeah, pretty much. The go-to man at the minute. Looks good. Always produces at the minute. Just... you can't really do much wrong. He did have that moment in this race where towards the end, the last few laps, he was closing the gap up, but then ran wide, and that ultimately is what killed his race win challenge. But all things considered, not bad.
No, exactly. He took another 20 points in the championship, only lost 5 points to Pecco Bagnaia, and still holds a 48-point lead or whatever it is with 4 rounds to go.
Yeah, I mean he's lost what? Is it 15 points in the last 2 rounds? So it's still doable. It's still more than doable. It's his to lose. All it's going to take is one big mistake, and it's going to really liven it up. But I just can't see it coming. It doesn't look that crashy.
No, he doesn't. And the only times he's had weird things happen where he's lost a lot of points this year have been exactly that. They've been weird things. They've been a chest protector. They've been a strange case of arm pump. It's not been him making huge mistakes.
No, he's not binned it under conditions where he's just pushing too hard or just running too deep. He always looks conservative and calculated in the race.
Yeah.
So all he's got to do is carry that on. It's his.
Yeah, that's it indeed. That brings us on to Aprilia then, Steve, the next of our factories to talk about here. Obviously, there's the 2 riders. There's Maverick Vinales and Aleix Espargaro. Maverick qualified 10th. And Aleix qualified 8th. Maverick had an impressive weekend. Top in Friday free practice. Did well in qualifying. Was through to Q2. Straight through to Q2, in fact. Scored points in the race, finishing 13th. Certainly a big improvement from Maverick. Lost a lot of places early on in the race, but did manage to climb back up the order to take 13th.
Yeah, he looks better. I did not expect that qualifying from him at all. That was a bonus. Massive improvement. Like I say, lost a lot of places at the start of the race, which really didn't help. But then, like you say, something we don't always, we normally see from Mav is loses places, gets them back towards the end of the race.
Yeah.
Very Mav. Mav.
It was very classic Mav, wasn't it? But I don't know. It's nice to see classic Mav on a different bike, at least, because it feels like a step up from the last round. It feels like he's getting more comfortable on the machine, and maybe he can progress. And only finishing 5 places past his teammate. I didn't actually look to see what the gap was between them. I probably should have checked that. But still, it's closer than it was in the last round.
Yeah, exactly. So a nice improvement. Carry it on to the next round, and happy days.
Yeah, exactly. And Aleix Espargaro, like we say, qualified 8th, finished the race in 8th as well. Looked super feisty early on, fighting with Marquez. And really getting a good battle on, but as the race ticked on, he just dropped back further and further to finish in 8th overall. And it's funny, isn't it? Because this feels disappointing, this finish, because of his performances in the last few rounds. But if at the start of the year he'd have scored an 8th place, or the end of last year he'd have scored an 8th place, I'd have been like taking my t-shirt off and swinging it around my head in excitement. It would be this new fun thing. But it's amazing how quickly your ideas can shift, isn't it? And perspective can change. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, look at his form this year. He's just come out of the box and been great. Like you say, now it's disappointing. I can't remember when it was. Whether it was the last podcast or the one before, we actually said anything less than 5th, 6th now actually feels disappointing for him.
Yeah.
We got so used to him being at the pointy end, qualifying pretty much straight through to qualifying 2 every round. Qualifying well and then being fast at the start of the race. So,
Yes.
yeah, you're right. This does feel a little bit disappointing now. But these guys are going to slip a bit. They're always going to have rounds where they don't perform as well, and this is just his. So, hopefully, off to Texas, we'll see how he does. And then, I don't know, if he can improve on this result when we come back to Misano, happy days.
Yeah, exactly. And it's pretty much Aprilia's home race, isn't it? So they want a good result there too.
Yeah, exactly. So not bad. Overall, considering what they've got, not bad.
Yep, exactly. Suzuki then, Steve. This was a tale of two riders once again, wasn't it? Let's start with Alex Rins here. Qualified 9th and back to his old ways here. Put it in the gravel.
Alex Bins is back.
Alex Bins is back. So, yeah, no points. A DNF for Alex Rins. And his teammate Johan Mir, qualified 11th, finished in 6th place. He didn't really look himself during this race. He looked faster than qualifying would suggest, but then he had a big issue in qualifying on his...
Yeah.
He got one fast lap in, didn't he? And then got a message as he was running on his outlap to his second fast run. He got a message on his dashboard telling him to box. So he boxed. But this message was actually an error. This shouldn't have come through anyway. So he'd gone into the pits for no reason, was sent back out. And then on his final run, which he did have time to do, Quartararo had crashed.
Yeah, yellow flag in sector 2, I believe, which screwed up what little time he had left. So, yeah, a bit bizarre. Not his fault, bad luck. But you can just imagine the team being in the pit like, fuck are you doing back here?
Yeah, and he'd be like, you told me to box. They're like, we didn't tell you anything, mate. Off you go.
Yeah, kettle's just bored, mate. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah, bit bizarre. That's the first. I believe that is the first time we've had a dashboard error pop up off the top of my head. I can't remember anyone talking before about a communication error.
I think we've seen it in the race before, but it's the first time
we?
I think we've had it at least televised and spoken about in qualifying.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the one where we get the mapping 2 notification pop up and the rider does it and then blows an engine.
Oh my god, yeah, I hadn't even considered that, but that is a real possibility. And actually, with an error like this appearing, the teams are probably going to be looking into that pretty quickly.
Yeah, that was one thing. The first thing that popped in my head, I was like, what happened? Actually, what happens in the race if all of a sudden, you're getting a message pop up that says go to mapping, I don't know, let's say 8, and the rider's like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Obviously, it's probably in the system for it to come through. They pop it on, 2 laps later, poof.
Yeah, that's
Bye-bye
it. And
engine.
even if it's not not as dramatic as that, but you could easily run out of fuel. You could easily not finish a race because something weird's happened.
That's it. Yeah, you could swap your map, drop 10% power, and you're back down the order.
Yeah.
And then teams could be screaming at you for not performing. You'll be screaming at them for well, what the fuck's this?
Yeah.
So, just highlights a whole new group of issues that are we about to see some gremlins pop out the system?
Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? Because like I say, we've definitely seen errors with the dashboard in races in the past, but I feel like this is maybe the most spoken about one so far.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. This is probably a lucky escape for them if they're having errors with their message. You're right. It could have been a mapping error. It could have been something that would cost them big. And I mean, arguably this did cost them big. He did finish the race in 6th overall. It was 5th on the road, but he got dropped back a spot due to a track limits infringement on the final lap.
Yep.
And Mir has now admitted he believes his title defence is over. There's no coming back from this now from him.
Oh, no, absolutely not. I think it's still mathematically possible, but only if the stars completely align.
Yeah, it's still mathematically possible. He's on 167 points. Quartararo is on 234. So he'd really need Quartararo to score 0 points for 3 races, in which Mir wins all 3 for him to come back into title contention.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
No, exactly.
No, not unless something, he finds a magic lamp. Just turns up on a magic carpet. Looky.
That's where you walk into the garage and he's just got his back turned and you just see him rubbing something. You're like, oh God, walk away. Walk away now.
Walk away.
You're like, oh no, there's the genie. Oh no.
Yeah. Oh God. Which genie would it be though? Robin Williams or Will Smith?
Oh, good question. I'm going to go... Oh, that is a good question, to be fair, because I really like both of them. I don't know who I prefer.
See, for me, I'm that age. Robin Williams. All day long as the genie. Although Will Smith, cracking job.
Yeah, that's the...
Can't knock him.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know which one I'd prefer to see if it was me.
Yeah, see, when you're my age, mate, you get these head fucks. Remakes do you in.
Remakes just come and screw you completely. Like, I don't know anymore.
Yeah, you're just like, I really want to hate it, but I secretly love it. Can't show any emotion because they'll know I'm enjoying it, and I've got to look like the grumpy old bastard.
Yeah.
And you just sat in your chair, secretly bobbing along inside your head, like, this is fucking great. And they're looking grumpy.
And then you've always just got to say, well, the original was much better.
Yeah, no, don't make them like that anymore.
Speaking of remake, Steve, it's not actually a remake, it is a direct sequel. But Top Gun is finally going to be out in the cinema.
Is it? When?
I can't remember, but I saw it advertised on a bus again the other day, which means it's soon.
Oh, date night is happening.
Yes, mate. We've been waiting a long, long time for this film.
We have. I actually saw the trailer last week. It was, for some bizarre reason, it was on at work. Don't ask me why.
I didn't even know you had TVs in this place, so that surprises me enough.
Mate, there's a lot of TVs in this place.
Okay.
Well, work is broken down into bays. So each boat comes in a bay, obviously, and it's all partitioned off. And each one of these bays has a TV screen in it, and they show us promotional videos to keep you inspired.
Okay.
It don't fucking work. As you know, we often change the channel. And for some reason in Bay, I forget what it was. I'm going to get somebody in trouble now. I don't know what happened, but there was a Top Gun advert on, and it just popped up that gong at the start. I was like, oh, boner.
You're like, this is going to be gold. So it looks like, Steve, it was supposed to be released on the 19th of November, but actually it has been delayed and it's not going to be till the 27th of May next year. So it's still a while away. I apologise for getting your hopes up, and I'm pissed off with the bus company for already having that on an advert.
Fucking goddamn.
I bet it was an old bus. I bet it was an old ad.
Probably. Yeah, someone's like, fucking Brussels broke it down. Get number 12 out the back.
And you're like, but that's the fucking Top Gun one that we had pre-COVID.
Yeah, like, well, we can't do anything about it. These people will get home.
Yeah. Right, back to MotoGP and away from some of the most homoerotic films that have ever been made.
Yes.
Honda here, and we will start with... I haven't got a lot of notes for Honda here, Steve, because honestly, most of them were pretty anonymous. Taka Nakagami and Marc Marquez will go with... Not Marc Marquez, sorry, Alex Marquez. We'll go with the LCR teammates first. Alex Marquez, another pretty shitty weekend. Qualified 19th, finished the race in 15th. His teammate, a bit better, qualifying 13th, finishing in 10th, but neither one setting the world on fire. No,
none of them made the headline, shall we say. They just went about their business nice and quietly. Didn't qualify that well, pardon me, but, you know, brought it home, both scored points.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And we saw Stefan Bradl out as well, and he was riding that nice liveried HRC machine, which I always like seeing on the grid.
That is really, really nice. Quite annoying for Alex Marquez that he did pip him. So,
yes, he qualified 18th and finished the race in 14th, so one place ahead of Alex Marquez, full stop.
Yeah, do you reckon he wrestled across the line? Like, because Alex Marquez, I think, was quite close to him, just like looking back, going, wanker.
Yeah, just flipping him the bird as he goes past.
Yeah, I would.
Yes, I suspect that there is a lot of satisfaction from Stefan Bradl when he manages to pull off things like that.
Yes, I would imagine he strolled into Alex's garage, and I know I reference it a lot, just like Conor McGregor, swinging his arms.
Yeah, exactly. All of the swagger in the world.
Yeah, all of the swag. You have a good race? Fuck off.
But Steve, the factory boys did have relatively good races, actually.
They did, yes. Compared to the last few rounds, well, for pole anyway.
Yeah, it's actually quite amazing that we're talking about these results as good finishes for full factory Honda riders as well. I know,
but it's coming a little bit of a norm. You know, so, but not bad. I mean, pole qualified 6th, finished the race in 7th.
Yep.
So better than what we've seen recently.
Yeah, exactly. A solid result for Paul. I don't know whether this is him wrapping his head around the Honda finally, or whether it's because the track just had the grip levels that really suit him at the moment.
Oh, I'm going the latter.
Yeah, that's sort of where my head's at, but I don't know that.
No, I mean, we know Marc Marquez and the Honda go well around Kota, So the only thing I'm hoping is if we could see a similar result round Kota for pole, then I'll start to believe that it is him wrapping his head around the Honda. But I just can't quite bring myself to 100% believe it.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Which is really disappointing because I like Pole. I think he's an awesome rider, and I want to see him do well. But big part of me can never get away from the fact that I really wish he was still on the KTM.
Yes, yeah, I'm with you 100% with you on that.
Yeah, it's hard because at the same time I'm happy with who's on the KTM, but this year I'm like, would he be up there with Binder?
And I think he probably would be. I mean, we know he did KTM a big favour by actually leaving, because I don't know where they'd be right now with all the talent they've got if he'd stayed.
Yeah, exactly. So the stars have aligned and everything has fallen into place. The only thing I can hope for is that Pole has finally, like you say, got to grips with the Honda, and it's not the grip levels.
Yeah, but we will.
So,
like you say, we'll see at Kota, and then at least he'll have another run at Misano, so he'll get another decent result.
Yeah, just give us a phone call and let us know, Pole, what you really think.
Mate, if you get a phone call from Pole now, I'm going to be sort of upset about it. I'll be very impressed, but I'll sort of be a little bit upset too.
I keep saying all these things. One day my phone is going to ring, or we're going to get an email from someone that's actually listened. And I'm just going to be like, holy shit.
There'll be a lot like the Dorner emails though, Steve. They'll just be them telling us off for saying something.
Yeah, basically. It's like, rein yourself in.
Yeah, exactly. Or it'll be like, right, it'll be a challenge to a duel. Pistols at dawn. Fuck.
Yeah, basically. But with the entire staff of Dorner and just me. But shit, I've got one bullet and you've got how many?
Yeah. Okay, Steve, the last Honda there is Marc Marquez. Marquez qualified 7th, finished the race in 4th. Had to go through Q1 to do it, though.
He did, yeah. I didn't see that coming. Not to start with. I was quite surprised, but he got through. Yes,
he got through, and the race felt like quite good return to form. We know this is a circuit that, yes, he has one round, but it's not an Aragon, it's not a Sachsenring, it's not somewhere that he's absolutely dominated in the past. But 4th place felt like a good finish. He was nowhere near the podium, and was probably not going to be. Just didn't have that kind of pace. But, it feels like he might be slowly returning to us, Steve, that we might maybe in the future get Marc Marquez back. I don't think it'll be the old Marc Marquez. No. Even now when you see him tipping it into right-hand corners or in heavy braking zones, he doesn't look right still. He's not got the same riding position he used to have. But this has made me hopeful that maybe the new Marquez could be a potent threat for a championship.
Yeah, I think you're right. There was times in this race where the BT Sport commentators were talking about it. I think it was Sector 3, we get the series of like heavy braking, tight corners. And they said, like, if you watch him going through the series of tight corners, you can see he gradually gets worse as he goes through because that arm is getting tired.
Yeah.
But then on the sections where he is good, he still looks strong. So he's obviously recovering. His results are showing that he's recovering. But he's obviously still suffering. So he's not 100% fit yet, or 100% over that injury. So I think he's going to be a threat for the future. I think he's still got a championship in him, but like we discussed last round, it's not going to be the same
kind of championship.
No, it is going to be a hard-fought battle. Yeah. It's not going to be the easy walk in the park that we've seen before. I don't think there is as many left in him as what we essentially thought. I think my prediction of him being the next Ago or beating Ago is well out the window.
Yeah, you've got to think he's lost 2 years of his prime thanks to his shoulder injury and his broken arm. He lost 2020, he's lost 2021, and they are 2 things that you probably would have said he was the firm favourite to take those 2 championships as well.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if it takes him all of next year as well to get fully back up to like regular winning ways. So I would be surprised if he's lost 3-4 years.
Yeah. Which does mean that, you're then looking at the latter end of his career and maybe he'll have a championship in him, but he's not going to have the 4 or 5 championships left that you expected him to have.
No, I think this is, like we said last time out, Marquez 3.0, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's exactly
Disappointing as hell. Fucking injuries.
Yeah, quite. But as everyone always said about Marc Marquez, literally the only person that could stop Marc Marquez was Marc Marquez.
Yeah, literally every person you speak to, listen to, every commentator, every journo said exactly that. The only person that will kill his career will be Marquez himself.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's annoying because all the warning signs were there as well with all those shoulder injuries.
Yeah, quite.
Really annoying. But there we go. Let's not dwell on the past.
No, let's not. Right, Steve, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we will talk about Ducati, and then we will run through the top 10 in the championship and cover and recap our predictions as well.
Righty, Hubert.
Okay, guys, bear with us for just one moment, and we will be right back with you. Thank you for bearing with us there, guys. We are back and we are here to discuss the final manufacturer, for the weekend, Ducati. Ducati had a lot of bikes on the grid, 7 bikes on the grid this week, Steve, which is still one less than they will be having for the entirety of next year.
Yes. It was nuts when you look at the number of bikes out there. I was like, hang on, I've got to wrap my head around this.
Yeah, yeah. I thought that when I looked at the final order, I was like, "There's 24 bikes on the grid this week. 24 of the fuckers." I'm like, "Where did they all come from?"
Yes, just multiplied. Somebody's like suddenly got a bucket of water and chucked it over one.
Yeah,
they popped out a load more. Like, hello, and they're all Ducati.
Yeah, that's exactly. Someone fed the fucking Desmo after midnight. That's what happened.
That is basically it. Someone snuck into a garage. One of the riders for that midnight love affair talk. We'll have a good race tomorrow.
I'm glad you put talk on the end of that because I had some images going on of some more people polishing genies and I was a bit concerned.
That exhaust pipe never looked so good. No, definitely a midnight chat.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I did like the moment actually where on the grid where you see Bagnaia there and just sitting there and he does like start stroking the tank and stuff and it is like he's talking to the bike and it felt like almost a very Rossi-esque the rituals at the start of the race, and it was that nice. I was like, oh, he's getting into that. Good man.
Yeah, I think he's actually done it once before. I'm sure I've seen him before, like when he sat on the grid, just like patting the tank.
Yeah.
Where it's like, we're gonna have a good race.
But we've all sort of done it before, though, haven't we? Like when you get a new motorbike, like the first time I've taken a bike out, it's pretty much one of those. I do pat it on the tank before we go, or if it's been like a long, hard ride or a ride I've really enjoyed, pat it on the tank as you get off.
Mate, if I get back from a ride on Dad's bike and nothing's falling off, I kiss it. If I haven't got to fix it again, I'm just like, oh, that was an amazing ride. Yeah. Then you look down, there's a puddle of oil in it, for fuck's sake.
It's just the pain of a classic machine, isn't it?
It is. I was actually looking at pictures of the old bike out on a ride out from a few years back, and every picture, when we stopped, there's a little drip of oil under it.
I bet, though, when you're on like a classic bike ride out, that's true of every machine.
Mate, we normally leave a slick. If it rains, every other rider is fucked.
Yeah.
Anyone behind you is like, fucking diesel spill. Nope.
You're like, no, I'm sorry, that's us. Moving on.
I think one of the best things I ever saw was went on one of the Distinguished Gentleman's rides a few years back, and there was a guy on an old Velocette who had like a wicker basket on the back, like a traveller's box, very old school.
Yeah.
And at every stop, he took out a little tray and a newspaper and put it under the bike because it would leak that much oil.
Wow, that's quite incredible.
And it was literally to soak it up, and inside that box was more oil.
Yeah.
I'm like, how much is this costing you?
And he's like, £1 a day for the newspaper and a bottle of oil a week.
Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah, but the underside of these bikes never rust, mate.
I'm not surprised, Steve. I'm not surprised at all.
I pick up a lot of dirt, but never rust. See, we were thinking ahead. The old British bikes were thinking ahead. Anti-corrosion.
Ah, clever.
Yes. I'm just fighting off the cramp here again.
Oh dear. Right, well, while you do that, Steve, let's start talking about Ducati. We'll start with I don't really know where to start with this one. Actually, yes, I do. Let's start with Pramac because there's a lot of notes, but to be honest, it's quick and easy to talk about because neither one had a very successful race here.
Let's go for it.
So Johan Zarco qualified 5th and finished the race in 12th. He had a really poor start that left him fighting at the bottom end of the points, then ended up getting a long lap penalty for not losing enough time after running wide between turns 1 and 2, where you had to self-penalise for at least a second and that had to be demonstrated in your lap time. You had to lose at least a second, if not long lap penalty. Very hard to judge a second though when you're in like the adrenaline filled moment of a race after you've run wide and thought, fuck, I nearly crashed there. So it's squeaky bum time anyway, and then you've got to try and lose exactly a second. So you can see why the guys didn't, and actually a lot of the Ducatis fell foul to this rule over this week.
They did, mate. Yeah, I'd like to say, how the hell do you judge a second when sometimes the entire top 15 are split by a second?
Yeah, it's really tough, man. And like they have these rules in Formula One all the time, where if you go through this chicane or you miss the market, if you run off, you've got to go through like a cone chicane, and you've got to lose X amount of time. And that's sort of fine, because then you get your pit crew on the radio and they're like, you haven't lost enough, lift off, let this guy past. So you're getting live updates, and then you're fine. You haven't got to deal with a penalty because you self-penalised, you've been told. You can't do that in MotoGP, so it does make it harder.
Yeah, it's very difficult. These guys, they're out there to win and go as fast as they can. They're not going to try and lose time.
Yeah.
So it must be like the most unnatural thing in the world. So, God knows. But yeah, suffered a long lap penalty and just never really recovered from that either.
No, certainly not. His teammate, Jorge Martin, qualified fourth. And after another impressive qualifying, just failed to make the most of it. He crashed out while fighting for the podium on lap 4, remounted, but ended up getting a long lap penalty for, again, running off between 1 and 2. Took the long lap penalty wrong because he just cut the white a little bit on the way in, and got another long lap penalty for that, and then just decided to park up. He was retiring.
Yeah. I was a bit, not miffed, a bit surprised that he parked up and retired it.
I'd have been annoyed if I was Pramac.
Yeah, I couldn't really see any reason for it. I thought after the crash, he must have had a problem with the bike, but apparently not. He just parked it up.
Yeah, I think I could see a reason for it in a way. He's taken the 2 long lap penalties. He's not going to score points. He's crashed. He's had a shit time. Maybe it's better to get off and just leave it.
Yeah.
And in any race, that would make sense, except for the fact he's a rookie in MotoGP and they're coming back to this track.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to get the laps in. Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't really understand it. But I guess we're not the ones out there on the bike. We're not the riders. We're not the team. So the team didn't look that miffed that he come in. And we've not heard anything from like the team to say, yeah, we're a bit disappointed or anything like that. So they're obviously supporting him. I was just a little bit surprised by that.
Yeah, but maybe if you're in a headspace, and we've all had this before while riding on the roads or driving, is you can sometimes make a couple of silly mistakes, and then you're driving and your riding just goes a bit to shit, and that's just on normal roads, and you're like, I need to stop for a minute, and then I'll come back to it. And maybe on a racetrack, if you feel like that's coming, the really sensible thing to do is just pull off, because you're not only endangering yourself, you're endangering loads of other people. You're going fucking quick. And I don't know, maybe it's just more sensible if you're pissed off and it's not working, not to just try and fly it by adrenaline. Maybe it is sensible to stop. I don't know, but I also think it's sensible to just try and learn your way around the track a bit better for the next race.
Yeah, like you say, we've all made mistakes while driving, and it does get you flustered.
Yeah,
and then like you say, it just leads to more mistakes. You're concentrating and dwelling on that incident, and then you're not watching the granny crossing the road.
Yeah.
Then you have to help the picker sharpen up.
And buy her a new dog.
Yeah, splattered Bertie. But yeah, sometimes I couldn't understand it, but sometimes, like you say, when the rush of blood starts setting in, and it's not a slow game, not what they do, and it's bloody dangerous. So, like you say, maybe it was better for him to park it up. I don't know. I just found the whole thing a bit hard to get my head around.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with it, but we'll see. There's no we'll see about it. What happened.
Exactly, it's done.
So the other satellite Ducati team here in the Avintia VR46 squad here, Luke Marini qualified 15th, finished the race in 19th. Also got a long lap penalty for running on between turns 1 and 2. He
did, another victim.
It's his teammate that really stole the show in this one, Steve, Enea Bastianini.
Just a bit. I don't really know what to say, because it kind of came out of nowhere.
It really did. So he qualified 12th, having got through Q1 to do so, and then went and put it in 3rd place by the end of the race. Enea Bastianini on a 2019 Ducati went and got a fucking podium, Steve. Can you believe it?
Mate.
I was watching it and I just could not believe this was happening in front of my eyes. Like, I just couldn't believe what was occurring.
No, it was great. I kept watching him, like watching the timing tower, and thinking, well, he's quick, he's fast. And then you start seeing fastest laps,
and he's passing people comfortably as well.
Sorry, I was mid-drink. Yeah, he just, everything he did looked right. Yeah, I was half expecting when I started seeing fastest laps that I'll fold the front in a minute.
Yeah, Mike, you remember Zarco 2017 when the opening race in Qatar, his first time on a MotoGP bike, was pulling a gap 6 laps in and then did bin it. It felt like that was going to happen. Yeah,
I was just watching him the whole time, watching the timing tower, and I thought he'd be down in a sec, and it never came. And then you see scenes of like Ruben's house on the pit wall, like calm down. And I can remember Ruben's house riding, especially in World Superbikes, and the guy was a nutter. But yeah, it just looked amazing. The whole thing looked stable. The whole performance looked good. And then he actually went and converted it and got the podium, and I was so happy for him.
Yeah, mate, it was great. It was really, really good.
I was just stoked.
He looked super excited. Everyone was super excited for him. And it was just so unexpected. It was one of those unexpected treats. And I guess I was thinking about it afterwards. And he was once part of the VR46 Academy, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
He's obviously Italian. He spent a lot of time racing around Misano. He knows his way around there. So I guess it makes sense that this is the track he was going to excel on. But it's still, mate, no one saw this coming. If anyone had Bastianini in their fantasy squad, fucking hats off to you. You were onto a winner this week.
Yeah, no one saw this coming. Absolutely not. No way. If anyone put a bet on that, Jesus.
Yeah, quite. Imagine the odds on that.
Oh, if anyone took it, they'd be huge. You know, imagine walking to the bookies, Bastianini for a podium. Bookies like, yeah, fucking give me your money.
Yeah, exactly.
You roll back in with that ticket like that, wanker. Give me my money.
Quite. I see why the bookies don't let you in anymore, Steve.
Yeah, I gloat like hell.
Give me my money. Anyway, let's move it on to the factory squad then. We'll go Mikaylee Pirro first here. Qualified 14th, finished the race in 11th. Didn't really see anything of him on the TV. Honestly, I actually, because I hadn't watched all of practice and stuff, I didn't realise he was there until I was going through and making these notes earlier, Steve.
I forgot he was there during the race. I remembered, like, obviously he was there during qualifying, saw a bit of that. But during the race, I completely forgot he was there.
Yeah.
I really did. And then I saw his name come up on the timing tower. I was like, oh, yeah, he's there.
You're like, fuck, I forgot about him.
Yeah, literally forgot about him, mate. But that shows you how easy it is if someone's in that middle ground.
Quite.
And, you know, that's the perfect example of how you could just get lost because you don't get TV coverages.
Yeah.
You know, we're not there. There's stuff going on that I saw when we were at Silverstone you would not see on the telly. You know, perfect example of that. You can get lost in a weekend of racing and the viewers will never know you're there.
Yeah, that's it, definitely. And especially if you're not involved in, like, a scrap with a title protagonist. If you're involved in a scrap with, like, a Marc Marquez or a Quartararo back there, you'll get spotted. But otherwise, you're just not appearing on TV.
No, especially, like, quite often some of these guys are circulating with 2 seconds ahead of them, 2 seconds behind them, and you will not simply get a mention.
Yeah, exactly.
You might at the end of the race when you go across the line and somebody says, oh, he had a lonely race. Mm-hmm. And that will probably be about all you'll get.
Yeah. Then the 2 full factory boys, then Steve, Pecco Bagnaia and Jack Miller here, qualified 1-2. It actually meant we had 4 Ducatis in the top 5 spots on qualifying, which obviously that is just rapid. This the GP21 here is just an incredible machine.
It is.
Jack Miller then qualified 2nd, finished the race in 5th, was racing very hard in the early laps. Looked very good, just circulating around in 2nd for much of the race. Started to have a couple of errors around 8 laps in, run it wide, and Quartararo started closing in on him. And then on lap 14, he lost 2nd place. And on the final lap, he was involved in a bit of a coming together with Mir and Marquez and ended up dropping a couple of spots. Finished 6th on the road, but Mir's demotion back 1 place gave Miller 5th overall.
Yeah, it was just that last lap where he really got duffed up.
Yes, quite. His teammate, on the other hand, Francesco Bagnaia, once again, almost flawless.
Pretty much.
Qualified 1st, won the race again. Wins are like buses, Steve. You wait around with them for a fucking long time, and then boom, 2 at once.
Yes, mate. Will we see more?
I'm convinced we will. Maybe not at Texas, but probably again by the end of this year we'll see at least one more, and that'll probably be Misano, to be fair.
Yeah, probably. Like I say, winter like buses, and I can't remember who it was, whether it was one of the Ducati bosses, but they all said once he wins one, the rest will follow.
Yeah, exactly.
And just, he pulled, like you say, over a second on that first lap.
Yeah, it was incredible, man. He just pulled out. He got an incredible start that everyone thought it was a jump start, but it just seemed to be perfect. And then pulled over a second gap over Jack Miller in the first lap. And then that was sort of it. And it was only in the final few laps where Quartararo really started closing in on him, because Pecco I think he had the soft rear tyre in, and Quartararo had a medium rear tyre. So, at the end, the tyre was shot. But he still saved some, because he still, on the final lap, managed to pull another 2 or 3 tenths out of the bag.
Yeah, I mean, that's just what you could do. If you pull the pin and get a bit of a gap, you could just relax, just manage your progress mid-race, and it just leaves you that bit for the end. But there was great scenes in Part Ferme where, like, Fabio was talking to Pecco, and you could hear Fabio saying, like, by turn 2, you were gone.
Yeah.
And you could just see him, just demonstrating with his hands. He's like, you were gone.
Yeah.
And you knew then that it was just like Pecco was just sat there going, yeah, mate.
Yep, quite. And I mean, it's an incredible result from him again. And 2 wins on the bounce. And I'm sure there'll be at least one more by the end of the year. And, now they're coming, man. Like, Pecco is quite quickly putting himself out there as a championship challenger for next year.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, I'm really impressed this season. So long may it continue.
Yeah, quite. That kind of brings us to the end of running through everyone there, Steve. Let's go over our predictions quickly. And then we'll just run through what the top 10 in the championship looks like at the moment.
All right.
So, Steve, for this race, I predicted a Bagnaia win, a Mir second, and a Quartararo third. So, I got Bagnaia right. I got Quartararo on the podium right. Mir, I didn't get so right. You predicted a Martin win, followed by Bagnaia in second and Mir in third. So you got the podium right for Bagnaia. Martin sadly crashed out and ruined all your fun for you, and Mir, just Mir.
Yeah, just Mir.
Just Mir. I did score. It's annoying in the Fantasy League, actually, Steve. We're not going to run through the Fantasy League this week, but I just want to have a little vent here. I scored a massive amount of points in the league, one of my highest weekends yet.
You lost places, though, didn't you?
Lost 3 fucking spots, Steve. I scored over 120 points, I think. You nearly fell off the chair. I think I scored 120 points and still lost 3 spots. Fuming. How the fuck did that happen?
Well, everyone else scored more points.
Well, I know, and I'm annoyed about it, Steve. But I did climb places in both the Global League and the UK League. So, that's okay. I'm just fuming about the fact that our league seems to be tougher than those other ones.
See, ours is the place to be. If you want a challenge, come across to ours. Quite. Prizes aren't so good, but they are unique.
Hey, you don't be dissing the prizes, mate. The prizes are going to be gold. Not literal gold. We're not actually giving anyone actual gold. That's really raising the bar here.
I'm looking forward to the end of the season where we actually get these T-shirts out. I'm really looking forward to that bit.
Yeah, I had a chat with the artists today, and they are still up for doing the work for us, so that's all good.
Awesome. What do they want in payment?
I will sort that out. That's fine. It's probably not gold, hopefully. Anyway, there we go. The top 10 in the MotoGP World Championship looks like this at the moment. Miguel Oliveira in 10th with 87 points. Marc Marquez is in 9th with 92. Maverick Vinales on 98. And Aleix Espargaro in 7th with 104. There's a kind of a 20-point jump then up to Brad Binder in 6th with 124. To Jack Miller next with 140. And then just a single point separates Jack Miller and Johan Zarco, who is in 4th. Johan Mir is in 3rd with 167 points. Bagnaia is 2nd with 186. And Fabio Quartararo, 48 points in the lead with 234 points. There's 100 points left up for grabs. So mathematically, the top 5 guys can still win this championship. But realistically, it's going to be hard-pressed for anyone to beat Quartararo at this point.
It is, unless he DNFs the next 4 rounds and one of these dudes wins everything, that's his.
Well,
All day
I
long.
mean, theoretically, if he DNFs the next 2 and Bagnaia wins the next 2, Bagnaia is leading the championship.
Yeah.
So. But I can't see it happening, man. I think Quartararo is now at a point where if he thinks he can't get on the podium, he's just going to prost it and he'll just take whatever points. He's just going to try and take the maximum points up every single race now, because that's all he needs to do. If he can just finish 4th, 5th, 6th and consistently get those points in, it'll be enough to give him the win.
Yeah, absolutely. He hasn't got to really do much except finish the race as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Balls in Hills Court, man.
Yeah, that's exactly it. No predictions to cover this week, Steve, because we have got a weekend off, and then it is Texas the following weekend, beginning of October. So next week we will come at you guys with our predictions. We'll do our pre-race or our preview of the circuit.
Yep.
And we will also go through the Fantasy League properly.
Yeah, a bit more time to delve into Tim's losses.
Yes, exactly. So you can all come and mourn with me.
I've been mauling all year, mate. I don't know what's going on with mine. Well, I do know what's been going on with mine. I keep sticking with the same riders and they keep falling off.
Yeah, mistakes were made, mate. Mistakes were made.
Big mistakes were made, but I've put my faith in them and they have let me down continuously.
Yeah, that's why you wouldn't make a very good team boss, Steve. You're not ruthless enough. I'm
not ruthless. No, I'm very nice. I give people the benefit of the doubt and it's all happy and roses, and then it all turns to shit.
Then it all turns to shit and you're down in 48th place.
Exactly.
But that's pretty much the end of the show, I think, Steve.
It is, buddy. Yeah. It's been a good show. I've enjoyed it.
Yes, it's nice. And next week, Steve, we should be back in the same room again. So things will be returning to a less Skypey version of the show for a bit.
Yes, we'll be here. I'll have to do some tidying up because, my God, it's a dumping ground in here at the minute.
And I'll be back onto the midnight trains to get home again.
Oh, yes, you will. Yes. Yeah. Hopefully they won't break down.
Oh, God, don't even, mate. Don't even. Let's not rant about the rail service, eh? Let's call the show there, Steve. Guys,
all right, buddy.
Thank you all very much for listening. If you've got any questions or anything you want to say to us, you can find us on...
We are For the Love of MotoGP. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter, or come and join us on Facebook. Give our page you like, but more importantly, come and join the Facebook community. It's still growing. The conversation is still flowing. It's been good. If you want to get in touch with us by email, drop us a line at fortheloveofmotogp@gmail.com.
Yeah, and I have an apology to make, actually. I have been very absent from both the Facebook group and the email inbox. So if you have either emailed us, I will be replying this week, and I will be back into the Facebook group as normal this week too.
I've been a little bit absent on the Facebook group as well. I must apologise. It's been a little bit busy. I stayed away, didn't post too much over this weekend because I knew you weren't going to see it, but then I completely forgot you probably weren't going to see Facebook either. So I sort of didn't spoil anyone by not putting anything. So
yeah, no, it doesn't matter. I just won't go on. I mean, I had no access to Facebook anyway. I don't have it on my phone, so I only have it when I have my computer. And I obviously don't hike with my computer because I'm not a sadist.
No, I wouldn't do that either.
No, exactly. So, guys, thank you all very much for listening. We will speak to you next week. So stay safe, look after each other, and we'll speak to you soon, guys. Goodbye.
Take care, guys.
Music is by Andrew Greenwood. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.